everyone, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra here with criminal defense attorney extraordinaire Tim Forshee of Forshee Law. He does NFA trusts. You should get your NFA trust from him no matter where you live in the country. If you're here in Phoenix, he'd certainly be the guy that if I got into defensive use of force that I would trust with my life, the rest of my life. He's literally the guy that I would call. For sure.
Wow, that means a lot, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I know the work you do.
Well,
simple as that.
Appreciate it.
A good, sane, sober, moral, prudent attorney, those don't go hand in hand very often, but yet we have one right here.
Sober, I'll take that part. The rest of it, my wife would contradict. Yeah.
We had one out of New Orleans, Louisiana, of a clerk who went after a couple of bad guys that were pointing guns at him. And one of those two took the room temperature challenge. The other one got a bullet wound on his way out, and that's great. But there's an interesting bit here that our good guy then ran off to go get a reload in the back room of his convenience store. And why did he need a reload? Because his marksmanship sucked.
Yeah, amen.
And then after he coming back with the reload, puts a couple more in our guy. And I want to talk to the attorney about that. To win the fight after the fight, you need help. After a use of force, I trust Firearms Legal Protection to help me win the fight for the rest of my life. From their 24/7 attorney-answered hotline to coverage for the use of all legal tools, Firearms Legal Protection has you covered. Get a discount by signing up at the link below. So this is an interesting one, Tim, because first of all, I think, did these guys need to get shot? Yes, and go watch the main analysis. I think the empty chamber carry was a problem and not good. I think that his marksmanship was abysmal, so why did he need a reload?
And it wasn't even just his marksmanship, it was his entire style of shooting. It was circa 1952 FBI crouch. It was just insane the way he,
pulls it out here,
shooting,
chambers it,
putting his hand up in front of his face. I mean, I just like, wow. Every time you see that FBI crouch in all the handgun manuals from the 50s, you go, did somebody actually think that worked back then? I mean, clearly they did, but yeah.
And this is the second time that I've ever seen somebody in a private citizen capacity use rounds from a second magazine in a gunfight. It's only the second time I've ever seen it. The first of those came out of Pakistan, and in Pakistan they have a weird culture where they carry half-full magazines. They carry their first mag half full because they worry about their springs taking sets because they don't use modern spring steel.
True. All right.
And so they carry a gun with 5 rounds in it and then carry reload.
Okay.
And even in that one, remember, if you go back to that one, I said he didn't really need to use the second magazine rounds because he should have run off. And instead he anchor shotted a couple guys. They could let him get away with it because Pakistan. And now in this case, he goes through a whole magazine and then runs off, tick, 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 gets a magazine back in, comes around. Dude is, I think, having his death moans there, but moving.
I think spasmodic motion, I would say.
Spasmodic motion.
And again, when he returns, he's using the aisle as cover.
Yep.
So,
So spasmodic motion is the name of my new indie band. It's opening for Three Toed Frogs next Friday night at the bar. So he comes around, sees the guy is still potentially moving, still maybe potentially, he's just moving. I don't know. I haven't got to interview him. I can't tell you what he was seeing in the moment. Puts 2 more rounds in him. Now, dude did not make it.
Dude did not make it.
And let's be real. Good riddance to bad rubbish.
And again,
I mean, we never want to be flippant.
I don't want to dance on a body. I mean, but yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go in all gangster with your hoodie tied down tight and your Glock 33 round Glock mag and hold it sideways and stuff, you better be ready to pay the piper. Like you always say, if you want to do the dance, you're going to pay the orchestra, and he did.
That dude put, as our new saying is, he put all the tokens in the skee ball machine, so he gets the prize from Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, that one makes me chuckle for some reason. Yeah. All the tokens in the skee ball machine. But. Could an overzealous prosecutor say, "Hey, man, those extra rounds weren't necessary"?
Let's be honest. I don't know that it would take an overzealous prosecutor, right? I mean, that's the old thing about anybody my age. I know I'm say 75 years older than Johnny, but you remember the Bernard Goetz case, the famous subway shooter in New York.
Bernie Goetz.
And he was interrogated for, I believe, 26 hours. And towards the end of that interrogation, he very flippantly and very exhaustively said, "Well, yeah, I just shot that guy again because I said he could use another one." He never said that. He never actually said that. He said it flippantly to sort of be dismissive to the cops after he was exhausted at the end of a long interrogation. And yet that became the theme of the case.
Yeah.
Was that, he gave that guy one in the head because he had hit an extra round in his 5-shot J-frame and he looked like he needed another. That was never said, and I don't think that was actually what he thought. And the jury agreed with me. The jury agreed. I mean, the only thing he was convicted of was violation of the Sullivan Law. That was it. And everybody thinks, Bernard Goetz, the subway killer. Blah. Nope, he was exonerated. All those shots were justifiable. Yep. That jury found. So here we have the Bernie Goetz that really did happen. He said, he looked like he used 2 more. It reminded me of the I think you turned me on to the video of the Taqueria shooting in Houston.
Oh yeah.
And very similar to that last shot.
It was an anchor shot, no question.
Try to explain that to me. This is deer hunting, and I'm going to make sure the deer's not suffering anymore. No, that's not how the law works. So. And
yet, the prosecutor took that Taqueria shooting to a grand jury, and the grand jury returned no bail.
Again, in Texas, the bastard needed killing. Yeah. So I mean, that's luck. That's not fact. That's
in New Orleans, Louisiana, where there's a high crime rate, and they feed people to the gators.
Yep.
I'm not saying that anybody's ever fed anybody to the gators, but there's that culture. I don't think this guy's faced any charges. So I'm not saying you can't get away with it.
Right.
But you're going to get some looks.
Was it, moral and prudent and legal? Maybe. I mean, maybe we decided it was legal. Maybe we're not going to prosecute him for it. I don't know why. I mean, and frankly, the guy might have been a goner anyway. I don't know how extensive the first, what kind of gun was it? Where you are?
I don't
I tried to count the shots. I think I wound up at like 8.
Yeah, and of course the challenge with that is because of frame rates on cameras.
Correct.
We
might have missed some.
We might have missed shots, and so I can say at least 8.
I don't know if he hit the guy 8 times. If he hit him,
I doubt it.
Once, I doubt it'd be amazing if he did. But did he hit him in the head? Did he hit him in the heart? Is the guy already a goner? Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to see the autopsy report to be an interesting one, right?
Well, could I even say which shots are the ones that he hit him with the second magazine versus the first one?
You probably couldn't, right?
And so
because he's out of powder burn distance anyway. Right. So I don't think you could distinguish.
I don't think you could. And also, I mean, I've teased in the past that the worst you can accuse him of is desecration of a corpse. But desecration of a corpse is a felony in a lot of places, man, and felonies are bad. I have a case that I worked that the man was convicted of desecrating a corpse, not because he shot him too often.
We don't want to go into that.
It's an extra case. It's a whole nother case. Yeah. Still on appeal, so we're gonna let that one cook there. But because of that, he was convicted of that as a felony, and. Honestly, in that case, it was correct. He needed to. Yeah. It was, anyways, good dude.
I mean, a lot of times, the murderer cuts up the body. That's another charge you see.
Yeah, that's the second thing. Yeah. So, am I good with him not getting charges in this case? I'm good with it.
Yeah, I don't think that the interest of society's safety is furthered by prosecuting this guy. The guy bought a ticket to a gunfight and lost. Mm-hmm. So the fact that this wasn't perfect, the guy had bad marksmanship skills, horrible tactical skills. No advanced planning, no situational awareness. This guy was so lucky that he didn't get killed because, if I'm there to rob the place and there's a guy on headphones that's sitting there by the cash register or the cell phones that I'm wanting to steal, the easiest thing to do is just reach up and put one in his head and then all the time in the world. And that's how oftentimes these things would go down. So the guy's lucky he's alive, let's be honest. But luck should never be underestimated either. So.
And we've seen cases, we had the case, I forget his name, but this pharmacist in Oklahoma who had 2 armed robbers, shot one down in his pharmacy, chased the other guy out of the pharmacy, significant way, shooting at him down the street. Okay, those are all okay, but then he came back. inside his pharmacy, grabbed a second revolver, came back and shot the guy in the guts twice, and was convicted of murder for those last 2 shots. Is doing 25 years for that murder, even though the first ones were completely justified. So at some point, a prosecutor and a jury is going to say, no, that's too far.
Yeah.
Now I know that, okay, so Tim and I might disagree about this. I have never in my life told anyone not to carry a spare magazine. I have said, I don't see them used. I don't see them used. Now, again, this is the second time in around 50,000 gunfights that we've analyzed that we've seen rounds used from a second magazine. This is the second time of those 2 that I don't think they were necessary. The first one, they were anchor shots, and the Pakistani cops let him get away with it. This one, I think he already got away. Stay away. You won.
My argument would be simply that, as it turns out, John's completely correct. There was a second assailant, and turns out he was wounded and on his way to a hospital. What if he was mildly wounded or not wounded, and he was hiding in that door that he ran through, and he comes back out to re-engage the guy that just killed his buddy? I'm really going to wish I had another magazine. So as it turned out, yeah, probably didn't need it, but it's always the coulda, woulda, shoulda that gets you killed. Better to need it than not, and better to have it not need it than need it not have it. We both agree that that's clearly the gun. John's correct. The stats are, I'm just carrying an extra half a pound in my pocket for no reason, but you know what?
Well,
I'm carrying 50 pounds that I shouldn't be carrying anyway. So.
Again, I've never told somebody
correct.
not to.
Yeah, and you never given anybody crap about it or
to.
anything like that. Absolutely correct. You bet. You have not.
However, I will say, if you're not carrying a less lethal tool like an OC spray, and you're not carrying a trauma medical, we see those used a lot more. Correct. We see those needed a lot more. Correct. So prioritize those. Right. If you can do all of it and carry a spare, I don't care, carry 5. Yeah. Literally, I don't care. Gabe White is a good friend of mine, and Gabe carries 145 rounds on his person.
Are you kidding? For his EDC, he carries
in Glock mags. Wow. Yeah, he carries 2 Glocks too. He carries a gun on a second gun on his ankle, and all the mags interchange, and he's got 145 rounds on him. And I'm like, Gabe, what kind of fight are you ready for?
Mess with Gabe, right?
No, well, and the other part of that is Gabe is so damn good with a gun. Yeah. He's literally like a grandmaster with
a hand. He's going to get 145 hits.
Yeah, and so I'm like, dude, you're never going to need that because of who you are. Yeah. So what caused him to need the reload? What caused both of those guys to need a reload? Misses.
Yep.
Now, I carry a gun with 18 in it, 17 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, because I'm pretty good with a gun, but I recognize that under the stress of deadly force, I might not be as judicious and disciplined as I possibly could be.
Right.
However, the number one cause of that in this case here, his reload is that, again, he's hiding his face and firing blindly with one hand. And so, nope, I can't see my sights on the target, and so I'm not going to press a trigger. You have to have the internal discipline to do that. And that means getting good with a gun, then you won't have that problem. We see from cops all the time is, oh no, I'm in a gunfight. They go through their first magazine and panic. Yeah, and then the reloading act is what makes them go, oh, I need to see these bumpy things on top. And these bumpy things can help me to not need to do this again. And of course, they shouldn't have bumpy things. They should have a little electronic thing in 2025. But those things are there. So I carry a reload. Carry all you want. Doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm not going to be at your gunfight.
Well, let's hope not.
Hopefully not, right? Listen, the chances of me being in your gunfight, very, very small, but not 0 because we spend some time together.
It's always higher than 0.
The chances of me being in your gunfight, the 268,000 people that watch Active Self-Protection Extra, I don't know you. And so the chances of me being there infinitesimally small.
But still greater than 0.
Still greater than 0. But I'm not going to be at your gunfight, so you do what you want to do. But I'm telling you, here's the thing. Make sure that if you do, that your gunfight goes such that you are proud of the analysis that I post on Active Self-Protection.
There you go.
And proud of your marksmanship, proud of your judicious use of force, proud of your behavior. And I say, here's funny. I say this all the time. So Laura, my wife, and Neil, the chief marketing officer at ASP, and my best friend, and we went out to lunch yesterday, and we went to Costco on Sunday because we hate ourselves. And I had misplaced because we had gotten home from SHOT Show on Saturday, and I kind of just tossed everything everywhere as I kind of got changed. I couldn't find my first aid kit.
Uh-oh.
And I was like, dude, I wear an ankle first aid kit, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, we got to find it because I'm not leaving the house without it.
Naked without it.
Because what's going to happen is I'll end up in a gunfight, and then I won't have my first aid kit on me, and then I'll be the ultimate hypocrite because I get in a gunfight and I don't have a tourniquent to help somebody. And then the people are going to be like, oh, Korea. I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Prepared.
Yeah. And so guess what? I was prepared because then I went and found it. Yeah. We went and found it. I carried it. We didn't need it. So it ends up working out okay. So I could have not had it. Would have been fine. But I'm not going to take that risk. So reloads, stuff. Hey, use every round you got to. All right? But be wary, man. When you get away, if you then reinsert, that could be a problem.
And you know, what we're doing right now is not supposed to be the tactical analysis. John did that, Mike did that. That's all. They do a better job than I'll ever do. But that overlaps with the law sometimes. Like here we had another clerk in that store.
Right.
I couldn't really see where he went to. I don't know if he just hit the floor.
Oh, he was cleaning up on aisle pants.
But he was in the line of fire.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he hit the ground or if there's a back door back there in that left corner, but he was in the line of fire. And so if I'm praying and spraying, and I hit an innocent bystander, now my lack of tactics spills over into legal charges, right? Because now your ineptness has caused you to create harm that shouldn't have been caused, right? That's an issue. So, you know, spraying and praying, and this guy at best was spraying and praying, I would say. There's legal ramifications to that as well. And so tactics, you know, one of the reasons I do what I do, I do tactics, and I'm a firearms trainer, but I'm also a practicing attorney that's very, very busy. Those interlock a lot, which is why I have business. Those are the cases I wind up getting. And you can't forget that they're very much intertwined.
Well, and good tactics reinforce moral and legal behavior.
Amen. Yeah, that's why they're there.
If you do good things and your tactics are strong, you probably won't have legal and moral repercussions. It's when you have those other ones that those start to show up. Yeah. So I think it was a good use of force. And props to him for having his gun on him. Please, God, don't do the hand switching thing. Keep your gun ready to go, because otherwise you start your gunfight with a malfunction clearance. You got a broken gun to start your fight.
And guys, if you're not comfortable carrying a striker-fired gun with a round chambered, I get it. You can put manual safeties on Glocks and SIG 320s. Okay. Then get a SIG 226 or a 229. I mean, if that's
or
not
an HKP 30 because it's more better.
Amen. But the point is, if you're not comfortable with that kind of gun, that's why they make all these other guns. So go find something you are comfortable with and carry round chambered. This is a clear example. This guy could have been killed for that reason. Yeah. Thank God he wasn't, but he could have been. So graphic detail there, why he wasn't able to do what he needed to do because of the constraint he placed on himself.
Good tactics, good moral decision making. Don't reinsert yourself into the problems. Again, I think the prosecutor probably looked at that and said, you took the trash out, have a nice day. But if you don't get the right prosecutor on that, you may be like, well, we want to talk about those second shots.
And let's be honest, I think John said it at the beginning, the fact that this is in Nolens instead of New York City was very helpful.
Well, and if it had happened in Dallas, Texas, you get a different jury than if it happened in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, oh, amen.
And a different prosecutor. Yeah. Here in Phoenix, Arizona, you probably get a little bit more look than if you were up in Payson.
Sure. But not nearly as much as if you're in Tucson.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, there's...
That all comes into play. Politics come into play. Just everything does.
Even here in the gun-friendliest state in the union, in Arizona. And yes, Arizona has the best gun laws in America. Fight me in the comments because you're wrong. Arizona is best in the nation.
There's 70 people in Wyoming. So shut up when you say Wyoming. So
it can't be Wyoming because Arizona's best, I said. God bless you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.